Hello, I'm Tom Philp. We are here with another conversation with our General Manager, Jeffrey Kightlinger, about water issues in California and the West. Jeff, we are about a month away from our traditional time when we make a decision here at Metropolitan on whether we need to allocate supplies to our 26 member agencies. So this is a pretty good time to take a step back and explain what our allocation plan actually is. So what is our allocation plan, and how do we try to allocate water fairly in our region when we begin to have a restriction?
So we're in March now, Tom, and what we do is we try to make the decision in April. And the reason we chose April to make a decision on whether to allocate resources for the coming year is because you're pretty much close to the end of the rain and snow season in California. And so we have, if not 100% of the information we're going to have, we probably have 85–90% of the information. And we also didn't want to push it too far out and get all the rain and snow information in, say, the end of May, because we wanted to give a good lead time to our member agencies so that they can implement an allocation plan. So we're a wholesaler, so we don't really impact the end user. That comes to retail agencies. And so some of our member agencies are retailers, such as the City of Los Angeles, the City of Burbank, City of Glendale. But many of them are also wholesalers, like the San Diego County Water Authority or Western Municipal Water District. And what they have to do is then coordinate with all their retail agencies on what our allocation plan is. So if, for instance, we pick an allocation of 10%, they have to then translate down to some 250 plus retail agencies throughout our service area, get them coordinated, and get them on plan to come up with that 10% savings we're hoping to get region-wide. And so this takes a lot of coordination. So if we make a decision, we do it in April, and when it goes into effect July 1. In effect, we're giving 60-some days through May and June, so it goes into effect July 1. So people really have some time to do this. It's considered to be a long, thoughtful process, but it's also very complex, and it's a lot of work. So this decision is coming up this April, and it's not something our board or our staff takes lightly, because all that work it means for the region and how to implement it.
So how do our water supply conditions look in Northern California and the Colorado River as we approach this?
So Metropolitan has two main sources, as you mentioned, the Colorado River and the State Water Project. Right now, pretty grim on the State Water Project. We are now in, it's pretty clear, 2015 is looking like the 4th straight drought year, and really 8 out of the last 9 have been dry in Northern California. So that accounts for a big chunk of our supply. Our other chunk is the Colorado River, and while we have on plan for a pretty full aqueduct, probably about 85% full for the Colorado River Aqueduct for 2015, when you add that up to a 20% allocation on the state, maybe it'll go up a little, we're definitely going to be short, and now we have to figure out, if we're short on water coming into the region to meet all demands, what are our choices in meeting those demands?
So going into this decision, on one extreme, we could pull entirely from reserves. Another, we could allocate a larger allocation, or some combination of the two. It feels like we're going towards some combination, but what is the right combination?
So as you mentioned, how we meet this gap between what our sources of water coming into the region are and what the demands are is really a choice that the board has to make, and there's a number of factors that come into play. I think one thing that's pretty important to note, we're in our 4th consecutive dry year, and we still have these choices. That really indicates that we did a lot of forethought, a lot of planning, and a very good job of building our reserves up to deal with drought. In effect, we are going into this drought year with 1.2 million acre feet in reserves. When we started this current drought cycle 3 years ago, we had 2.7 million acre feet of water in reserves. Even if we come up with a shortfall of something like 400,000 acre feet a year, which is a significant shortfall, that's another 3 years of reserves. That would be 7 consecutive dry years of record-breaking proportions, frankly, that we haven't seen since you actually look at tree ring data. So we're pretty well prepared for a significant drought cycle. But what's the right combination, as you pointed out? We could do all this with reserves and not have any allocation, but that would leave us vulnerable to maybe if 2017 turns severely dry. So you don't want to do that. You'll probably look at some combination, and we look at the economy, we look at our reserves, we look at our member agencies, local supplies, how the local rainfall's been falling, which frankly has been pretty dry, and so our groundwater basins are hurting. So we have to take all that into account, come up with a recommendation that does use a combination of our reserves, which is why we built up the reserves in the first place, but also asking the public, we need some significant savings on their part, and how we move into that as well. Match the two, and then hopefully are prepared for 2016 and perhaps 17 as well.
Okay. Well, next time when we catch up, this decision will likely be behind us. So I look forward to talking with you then.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Thank you.